Well, let's turn to the issue of the treatment of migrants in the United States, very much in the focus following the release of a photograph of a father and his daughter who were drowned as they tried to cross the Rio Grande. Several migrant deaths reported, and reports of civilian neglected children at a Texan Border Patrol station, and that has helped shape a growing debate in the United States. Well, let's go to Washington. The Vice President of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, Alan Orr, joins me now. And I think you've actually visited one of these camps, and what's it like?
I've been to facilities, like I said, I've been to facilities under the Obama administration and under the current administration, and the facilities are not like camps at all. They're more like detention centers and prisons.
Well, in what way? What's it like as you walk in them?
Well, there's no natural light. There's really no freedom of movement, right? There's no sort of liberty that you would associate with people who are not being detained for some criminal purpose. People are sorted into different sorts of families or separated, and then once you're able to sort of talk to the individual clients, they're all disheartened about the situation they're in, and they just really want to have a better life, right?
Doesn't sound like the United States in the 21st century.
It isn't the United States in the 21st century, and that's the problem. The problem is that there's this problem at both the ICE detention centers and the CBP centers, which some are government-run and some are private-run by companies that are making profit off of the backs of these children. And the issue has been that neither of these facilities came to the Hill and said, look, we're at this overflow problem, but instead it was attorneys doing checkup that actually overturned these issues for the public.
What do you say to those who say, look, these images, however distasteful they may be, are working and that they're putting people off the idea that getting across the border, all your problems are solved?
Yeah, I don't think it's putting people off. It's actually killing people, literally, and also harming us by this toxic stress, which is basically turning the world probably against our own principles and standards. I think, I'm an immigration lawyer by trade, but I'm an American first, and on these principles, they're basic things that we afford to human life, and you don't have to be an American to do that. That's the process, and it's called due process here in the United States. And so we are more about what's fair and right than what one administration did or the other administration did. What you've seen now is a lot of finger pointing, and just because the Obama administration didn't get it 100% right doesn't mean that the Trump administration could exacerbate that problem. The Trump administration is actually metering people at the border, which means they're keeping people outside of the United States on purpose for months and weeks at a time to apply for this legal asylum. That's the problem.
This particular image released of this father and his baby daughter drowned while trying to cross the Rio Grande, does that have the potential to change the sense of this entire argument in the United States?
I think the argument has already been changed with the understanding that children were not having their diapers changed, not having toupees. That sort of started on Monday, and so this just sort of adds more color to the picture. And the difference is these individuals were crossing the Rio Grande trying to get to the United States, so they weren't in our control already, and so there's a little bit less concern. I mean, we should not have that happen. We should have prevented it. It's definitely a tragedy. But when we start looking at people who are in the detention centers, who are dying, who aren't getting the medical care they need, those are people who are in our direct control that we can impact. And I think that it's making a big change on the American public, which is why I believe the House moved so quickly last night.
But where does the buck stop? Is it with the House, or is it with, these services are often contracted out. Where is the government on the ground here?
That's the problem. The government isn't on the ground, and it's a problem of management. If we didn't want these things to happen, they wouldn't have happened. Over 2 months ago, we allocated $1 billion from our defense budget to go to the wall. We could have taken that money and given it to these facilities to help take care of these human beings that are in the throes of their lives. Even if they aren't able to remain in the United States, they might not have a claim to remain in the United States, they still should be treated humanely in our facilities.
What options are there? Is this something the UN should get involved in?
I actually think that it is something the UN should get in. The U.S. for years has gone around the world telling other countries what they should do and how they should treat people. It is time for the world to step in and say, we see you doing these same atrocities, and if there really is a constitution and you really are about due process and we are concerned about people around the world, these things can't happen on your soul. You're the light of the world, and we understand that this migration issue is a global issue, and the United States is setting the tone for the rest of the world, and we can do better.
Alan Orr, Jr., great pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.